TikTok, it's time to rock. Welcome to the channel, folks. Welcome to a special episode here on the channel. We have our dear friend from Scotland joining us, but more importantly, we've got a couple of celebrations here on the channel. We've got the Backdoor Man celebrating 35 years of age.
Thanks for that, Andrew.
And not a day over 36. And the Rock Professor from his new incredible studio.
Yeah, that's flash.
Whole new setup. Hope you can hear me, possibly even see me.
Yes,
I was harassed into it by my brother and my nephew, and going, "What you need is some better kit."
Well, that's right. Thank you to them, because you do look good, Simon, and you do sound great. And congratulations. And like I say, you look good. So
he's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
No, I'm just checking, just pressing the buttons and checking.
He's just pushing buttons, folks. Okay, that's what happens when you push buttons. Things happen.
I'm the bloke from IT. What you do is you press all the buttons to see what they do.
Yes. Yeah. And what's the famous IT bit of advice, Brad? What's the famous IT bit of advice?
If it doesn't work, switch it off and turn it back on.
Yes.
That fixes everything, apparently.
Mate, that costs thousands of dollars a year for that advice, bro.
Yeah. What you're not saying is that $5 piece of knowledge took me 35 years to get to. That's what I'm claiming anyway, as I think.
Well done, Simon. Good to see you, Brad. Obviously, another year around the universe, the world, the solar system. You're tracking well, bro. So well done.
Thank you. I really appreciate all the messages and all the love. Thank you, guys. Felt very special.
Yeah, fantastic. And of course, we've got our dear friend Jim here, who is like a lot of us here on the channel, an Eric Clapton nut. So we're always in awe of what Jim has to say, because Jim's been listening to Eric and been watching Eric and following Eric for a long time, Jim, haven't you? For a long time.
Yeah, I have, and it's sometimes been enjoyable and sometimes exciting and sometimes boring, but all the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're absolutely right with this guy. It's if you look at his career, and that's one of the great things I love about the guy myself, and we've spoken about this many times, besides the music, the highs and lows, the ups and downs, the adversity, the difficulties, the sadness, the tragedies the guys had, jeepers. And he's just Jim, still doing it, still touring, still playing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. And Brad, a couple of years ago, you had the privilege of seeing him in the Albert Hall, didn't you?
Yeah, that was always something that I wanted to do, despite, having seen him before. I just wanted to see him at Royal Albert Hall. And that really goes back to the 24 nights thing. Just wanted to go, I knew of Eric Clapton before 24 nights, but when that early 90s period came around was when I really became a really big Clapton nut. And so it was always a dream of mine to go and see him at Royal Albert Hall, and I managed to get there. So yeah, that was great.
Well done. Appreciate it. And Jim shared something with us, folks, that I'm going to steal and run with and continue with as a theme on the channel. God bless Jim for this, but he ordained the channel because we're on a mission. We're on a mission from God to go out there and rank all of Eric Clapton's albums. So he compared the journey that we're on to something like the Blues Breakers, Brad. So we're getting there, bro.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the Blues Brothers.
the Blues. Okay.
Blues Breakers,
either or.
Hey, the Blues Breakers. Yeah, we'll change the Blues Brothers to the Blues Breakers. That's a good movie idea, actually.
You're right, though. I was corrected, but yeah, the Blues Brothers. Yeah, so we're on a mission. So thank you, Jim, for giving us that emphasis to continue doing that here on the channel. And that's why we're here, folks. Obviously, this week we've dug out one of those middle 1970s albums that Eric produced that has, through time and over time, garnished a little bit of attention for the right things and for some negative things and for some positive things. And there's certainly, from my perspective, a bit of both on this album. One of the great things, though, that I like about this album, and this is just a little bit of an intro, is that, it was the album before Slow Hand. So I think that's one of the key things here that maybe we should remember when we're listening to this album, because Clapton has a tendency of doing that through his career, guys, of having, an album on face value that mightn't be up to scratch, but actually gives the emphasis for the album that follows, which goes on generally to be, a blockbuster. And certainly Slow Hand was that album. And I think this album gave him a lot of that foundation, certainly because, Jim, of where it was recorded in Shangri-La Studios in California, famous studio owned by the band. And obviously, guys, we know, and we'll talk about that as we go through the tracks, the band emphasis and contribution to this album's incredible, Simon. It's all over it, isn't it?
Yep, it sure is. Well, for me, it follows that thing about Eric wanting to get away from his virtuoso status and be more in the band, and I think this album is as close as he got to doing, being in the band.
Correct.
The band with a capital T. So I think that, it's very significant that, and Bob Dylan on one track and, just cements it, doesn't he?
100%. And I think that and we'll probably continue that theme, I'm sure, between the four of us as we go through the songs, because that's a key point that we'll probably flesh out a little bit as we go through the show. But the album was produced by Carl Rattle, Clapton, and a guy called Rob Fabioni, Jim. And I don't know a lot about this guy, Rob Fabioni, and I didn't do any research on him. Do you guys know anything about this guy, Rob?
No, off the top of my head.
Not really. Not really. He had worked with the band. That's all I thought. So
that's the link.
Yeah, I think there was a link there with the band. Possibly Bob Dylan as well.
Okay, all right. That will make sense. So he's rated as listed as one of the producers. Released in August '76 when I was a young fellow, and it did pretty well on the charts, guys. According to my information, in the UK it was number 8, Simon, and Brad in the US it reached up to number 15. So to be a top 20 record in the mid 1970s, Jim's a pretty good achievement. We've got, because it's jam-packed with a shitload of albums.
Yeah. No, it's good achievement.
Just a bit of detail. Rob Fraboni, he designed and built Shangri-La Studios.
Ah,
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Okie dokie. So that's the key. All right. And obviously, you know, we're going to talk about the band, but they're predominantly the band on this album. I'm not going to list them. I'm not, because there's a whole lot of people that contributed to this album. I may do that when I go through and re-edit it, list all the people, but there's a ton of people there. But the key people for us are the members of the band. And we could probably talk about who they were. Levon Helm on drums, Richard Manuel, Garth Hudson, Rick Danko on bass, Robbie Robertson on guitar, Brad, Billy Preston, Bob Dylan, George Fame, Ronnie Wood on guitar, Jeepers, and the list just keeps going and going and going. So, you know, it's a big party, Brad, on this album. And we've got a couple of photos that we're going to show during halftime that will illustrate that, that big party emphasis on this album.
Do you know who owns Shangri-La Studios now?
Yes, I just did some research and I was surprised by Rick Rubin.
Does he? Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yes. And he's produced some wonderful artists there, and he's basically, you know, looked after it. It's probably Brad, a national treasure.
Well, 100%. It's one of those. Recording studios are few and far between now when it comes to a lot of the older ones, like keeping them pristine, updated equipment and stuff like that. So it's good to see that Rick Rubin's got his hands on that one.
Oh yeah, and he's definitely the man for it. So,
yeah.
But yeah, there is a documentary when I was doing some research for the show that Rick Rubin did talking about this, and I haven't managed to watch it, but it's certainly on my list of things, guys, to watch. And apparently it's a pretty good documentary talking about how he got the studio and what he did to it and stuff like that to keep the mojo. Because if there's one guy, Jim, that's into mojo and keeping that mojo going, that's completely into analog and all that kind of stuff, it's Rubin, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Mr. Analog.
Mr. Analog, you got it, bro.
Yeah.
So before we go around and talk about how we first heard this album, we've got the Rock Professor there sitting in his new studio with his double screen set up there. He can see us. He can see the chat. It's all there at his it's all at his fingertips now, Brad. So do you want to do a shout out, Rock Professor, from the flight deck
of the Starship bloody Enterprise? Yes, it's Alan Tootsby. So we say good morning to Johnny Heartbreaker, Helene O'Hara. Good morning, both. Gretch Zeppelin, morning, Gretch, and we've had Ellen as well. Brad Smith.
Hey, Ellen.
Good morning, Ellen. Good to see you. And Mission RD100 as well.
Hey, Mission.
So good to see you all. Thanks for making a comment. The professor in his laboratory. Yes. I was working in a lab, lady husband.
Well done.
Yeah, I'm blaming my brother and my nephew for this my new setup, because they said to me a couple of weeks ago, "You need to buy a new setup, get a better sound and camera." So I did.
Well done.
Well done.
Good. Thank you so much, Nyan Kia. And just a piece of both my brother Nye and his wife Vicky both have their birthday on the 12th, the same day as Brad. So all the righteous people are born on the 12th of Feb.
I won't disagree with that. I won't disagree.
And I suppose, look, if you want to be especially romantic, it is Valentine's weekend as well too. So happy Valentine's Day, or day
Yeah.
after Valentine's. People who-
Let's be honest. Every day should be Valentine's Day when you're in a relationship.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah. Boom.
Boom. Yes.
Drop the mic.
Yeah. Mic drop moment. All right, stop this modern talk.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we're going to talk about unless you guys want to add anything to my brief, quick intro, we're going to kick off and talk about how we came to this album and rank the tracks.
Let's kick off.
Awesome. Okay, so guys, the first time I heard this album all the way through, besides a couple of songs that were always on compilations, was probably in my early 20s. It was an album that I came to late after, the Cream album and albums, Jim, that, were always mandatory for young guys, and the Layla album and the Beano album. I kind of, and I'm sorry to repeat, the story, but it's a fact. Those mid-70s albums, I sidestepped for a long time because I heard a couple of radio songs and I thought, this is not rock and roll, and when I first heard it in my early 20s, I kind of thought, I don't. This isn't the Clapton that I like. But I have to be honest, as I've matured and listened to this album in context with other albums, and I think that's the key for me and for a lot of fans too. It has to take that journey, Brad, which is important, because you can't listen to it all in your first five months of discovering an artist. You can try, and you may listen to it, Jim, but you probably don't understand it, because you're listening to a lot of these albums, to be honest. And, one of the great things about this journey that we're on as music fans is that we can probably listen to this album, like myself, over the last week and a half and really appreciated this album, because I'll be honest with you, I dreaded doing this album when we spoke about it because I ranked it as one of those horrible mid-70s albums. There's some gemstones on this album, and when you connect this album in connection with what Clapton went, you can see a little bit more there for me. So definitely a pathway of understanding and experience for me on this album. Jim.
Okay, yeah, this came out when I was still at school, and I was a Clapton fan, and a bit like Andrew, I'd probably listened to Eric's earlier stuff kind of first, and I was aware of kind of 461 when it came out. I think the mid 70s, it had got to a point where it wasn't maybe the strongest time for kind of mainstream rock, as Andrew said. The kind of music had softened a bit. Big hitters were there, like Led Zepp put out Presence and Stones put out Black and Blue. The big albums, though, were things like Hotel California, Songs in the Key of Life, Stevie Wonder, and Boz Scaggs and Steve Miller were kind of, there's kind of like that soft rock was very dominant around that time.
Yeah.
So, sort of more sophisticated, and that's probably created the kind of vacuum for groups like the Ramones to come in. They started about that time too, something that was connected a bit with more raw energy again. I think I bought There's One in Every Crowd when it came out, and I was pretty disappointed with it. It just didn't live up to what I was looking for, and I got a kind of moment of respite when EC Was Here, the live album, came out, because I thought,
Great album.
It's fantastic. Eric still does play guitar, and it's pretty good. And that kind of buoyed me up. So I was kind of mixed feelings waiting for this album to come out. Was hopeful that it would be a step forward from There's One in Every Crowd, and I didn't rush out and buy it. I'd heard EC Was Here on the radio, and that was great because you kind of felt a bit confident to go and buy it. I hadn't heard this one, and I didn't buy it. My best friend though did, and so my introduction to this album was he gave it to me, and I was able to record it on a C90.
Wow.
And that's how I kind of listened to this. Kind of really first was on his record and on the tape. So yeah, it was a kind of I kind of had a mixed reaction to it. I liked some of the stuff on it, and I didn't like some of the other stuff. And it was just kind of like hoping that there would be a kind of step forward for Eric again, to a bit more guitar based kind of music. I mean, I think the thing that was interesting was he was joining the to play with members of the band. That was kind of interesting. I think. I suppose the bad bit about that was that he was going to hook up with Richard Manuel, who was probably in the same state that Eric was in at that time, where kind of drinking was getting the better of him.
Yeah.
So I think these sessions were probably catch Eric when he's sober and he'll do some good work. And then probably later on in the day, it was probably more of a kind of party kind of atmosphere and last man standing at the bar kind of thing. So, yeah, I think that's kind of how I kind of feel the record is, good. There's some good and bad bits about it. So I wasn't really excited before it came out, and when I didn't get it, I got the tape of it. I mean, at the time, you got all these records that had home taping is killing music, and you were thinking, actually looking back at it, I think the Peruvian marching powder and alcohol was killing music. It had a bit to blame it as well. So, but anyway, I was one of those guys that occasionally taped records from friends and kept them. I think a lot of us did
it often.
Yeah, because we didn't all have the money to splash out on albums all the time. So
no.
Do you ever do that thing where you bought albums, like you had a group of people, one of you bought an album each month or whatever, and then you pass it around and everybody else taped it, kind of thing?
Yeah.
That was always a cool idea.
Yeah.
I think everybody did that.
Yeah, they certainly did. Well done, Jim. Thank you for sharing that. Simon, your experience with this album, please.
I've similar, really. I mean, I can remember it coming out and it being around, but not really grabbing me at the time at all. I don't think I ever bought it, or if I did, I only had it briefly, maybe later on. You buy things, you check them out for a bit, and then sell them on, buy something else, kind of thing, in the local secondhand shops. So I don't remember it creating a great impression on me. I think I might have listened to it because Dylan was on it and Derek had done a Dylan song. But no, so it's been great to get. It's always nice to go back to albums that you kind of forgotten about, because I haven't listened to it for a long time. So I have any reason to. So it's been really nice to go back to it and have a sort of context of from 2026 rather than when it first comes out, and and lining it up against what else has come out. Going back and listening to it now is a different ball game, and I think it's bought. I've enjoyed this week listening to it. It's been great.
Awesome, thank you. As ever, Rock Professor.
Well, for me, this album was one that I used to forget about. Like, I used to not really put on that often. I must admit, the first time I ever heard the album, I was expecting a little bit more like Ocean Boulevard. I was hoping for that. A little bit less guitar, as Jim mentioned. Similar to you, Andrew, I got into it around my early 20s, and I gave it a spin every now and again, but that's the most I ever did. And it's been a long time since I've actually listened to this record. So it was good to reconnect with it. And I guess being a Clapton fan, you need to appreciate the stages of Clapton's career. And as much as we admire him as a guitar player and as a rock blues guitar player, we have to also acknowledge that he wanted to be, like Simon said, a musician, and he was writing songs and he was connecting. And at this point in time, we all know where he was at this point in time in his career, but he was connecting with other musicians, and the album is somewhat of a collaboration if you look at it realistically, because it's pretty much the band is his backing band. If people don't know who the band is, get on Wikipedia and look it up. But pretty much it's the band with Eric Clapton, with many little special guests here and there. But for me, it was always an album that probably did get a skip. You know what I mean? But you know, with age comes maturity, and sometimes you start looking back a little bit of looking back at musicians' albums and starting to appreciate them a little more than you did initially. You know, around the time that I got first heard this album, I was listening to 24 Nights, so there was a massive contrast.
100%.
But I can imagine when this album first came out, like Jim, you mentioned, you know, when you first got it and stuff like that, it would have been, you've got nothing to compare it against, obviously, than before, really, anything before it, and that's it. So you would have to accept that's where Eric was at that point in his career. But we know where he went to after that as well. So, you know, back to the cradle, in other words, he went back to the blues. Yeah, so it's good to see that progression, and I think it's a refreshing change to listen to this album now, and appreciate what he was doing at that point in time. It's a very raw record, I think. It's got a lot of raw performances, especially vocally from Eric, and I also look back and appreciate where his voice was here as comparison to once he got to the 90s. He really excelled as a vocalist. So great to go back and revisit anyway without me waffling too much.
Yeah, I agree with you. And before I quickly rank off with the first track, I agree with you. I don't think I would have listened to this album again, guys, if it wasn't for this show. I'll be honest with you. And I'm an Eric Clapton nut. One thing that I do appreciate, and it will be my conclusion, will be the plotting of this album and listening to it now and seeing it in context of the tapestry of the music that Clapton was progressing to, guys, you know, and we know about that, and that's what I like about this album. It is definitely for me a stepping stone. But I agree with you, Brad, that you know, for a long time this would have been a skip album, and you know, I probably won't listen to it again.
Well, I'm pretty sure it'll come on now that my Spotify, or it's not on Spotify, I realised. But yeah, I couldn't find it on Spotify, this record, so I had to do it from YouTube. But now it's in my algorithm, I'm sure it'll pop up somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I found it no problems on my Spotify.
Yeah,
one of those regional things. One of those, one of those regional things.
Unfortunately,
and if you are watching, Eric, you know, we are fans, so please, you know.
Look, we're big fans here, so we're not knocking it. It's just one of those things. Every artist has, you know, their lulls in their career, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's more of a creative thing. They learn from it and move on. You know what I mean? So.
No problem. We've got our brother John ZD351 in the chat saying, "Hey fellas,
John.
Sorry, nearly missed another one. Went for a walk around Geelong waterfront with the family and forgot his phone. Good to see you."
Yeah.
Hey, it's probably a good thing you forgot your phone, John, so you can actually enjoy your family time, mate. That's all I'll say.
100%. You can always watch us when you're doing something completely horrible at work.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, so the first track is a Rick Danko and Richard Manuel track that they wrote, and I didn't know that. I found that out when I was doing research for the show, guys. So I was kind of interested in listening to that because I didn't remember the track because it had been years. So I was, you know, kind of blown away by it. It's got that kind of Tulsa feel, which is something, you know, that I'm familiar with that Clapton did really, really well. Ronnie Wood on slide guitar is incredible. His contribution on this first track just blew me away. And obviously one of the key things in Clapton's band around this time are the backing vocals from Marcy and from Yvonne, you know, on albums, but also Jim on a lot of the live stuff from this period. They carry a lot of those live performances with their backing vocals. So you get this kind of feel, this kind of urgency and intensity. I do anyway, on this first track. Incidentally, it was the first track recorded out of 30 tracks, apparently, that they recorded for this album and cut it back to 10. So that's a lot of tracks. Whether or not they're any good, well, we know some of them. We know some of them aren't, because there's a lot available on bootlegs, which are just, as Jim said, boozy affairs. But that's okay. It's the mid-70s and they could get away with stuff like that. But it's a solid opener for me. Doesn't sound like a band song to me, at all, on this opening track. Ron Wood definitely, like I say, guys, is the key standout for me on slide guitar. What a slide guitar player he is. And I've given this a solid 9 out of 10, and it's never a skip. Jim?
Yeah, I think maybe the idea of this was to be a bit like Music from the Big Pink, which started with a slow number and was a bit of, instead of the usual kind of upbeat number. I don't think this song is nearly as good as that. And
No.
I find it, I think it's a bit labored. It feels like it's a bit of a struggle to get through it, and a bit lethargic. I think Andrew's right. The backing vocals lift it, as does the guitar interplay with Ronnie Wood and Eric playing guitar. But it's by no means a classic. I wouldn't skip it, but I would never relish listening to this song. It's not something, I must go and listen to that. It's not a good one for me. So sort of being generous, I think I'd give it about a 7 out of 10. And that's a kind of generous score. I think it feels like the album maybe starts when the song finishes for me a little bit.
No problem. So the Rock Professor is next.
Yes, I sort of agree. I thought the beginning was quite a sort of band sort of beginning, that rising intro at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
But then I think that it's got that kind of, Garth Hudson is very prominent on the organ. I presume it's Garth Hudson playing the organ on this. As you say, I think that the backing vocals are to cover for Eric not being in a great voice. I think there's and as we go through, there's a lot of backing vocals on this, and they're really good as well. I mean, Marcy Levy's a fantastic singer, and they do a fantastic job. But I think for me, it kind of lacks an Eric identity. Submerging himself in with the band is fine, but I think, when he's playing the solos, I don't know that the sound, the guitar sound doesn't seem that great to me. It seems sort of a bit thin and a bit weedy. And I think, as you say, Ron Wood, bolstering up with the slide is good. But I think that he's trying to find something on this, on this album, really. He's trying to find a different sound. He doesn't want to be in Cream. He doesn't, as I was saying earlier, he definitely wants to be in a band like the band, kind of have it all a bit more subdued, to not be quite the virtuoso. So I agree. I think it's got some nice bits. I think it's well produced. I think it's, it's got a big sound to it. Lots of instrumentation. Quite hit the mark, really, for me. So 8 out of 10, and not a skip. I wouldn't skip it, but I think it's Eric in search of something. Brad?
You gentlemen have, this is the curse of going last. There's a few things that everyone's probably, without repeating everyone, I'm just going to summarize to make it more effective and efficient. But I think it's a very relaxed mid-tempo sort of opener. It's built around the mellow guitar and the piano work. Like, there's very clean strat tones here, which kind of anchor the song, in my opinion. The organ and the piano sort of add that warmth to the track. I've just highlighted, obviously, nice slide work from Ronnie. The feel of the song is very loose. conversational in a sense. The groove is understated, and to me, it almost sounds like it's a rehearsal or a live recording. I don't know if it was completely live or not. Clapton sounds very comfortable. He's not being flashy, and the melody and the lyrics sort of carry it. There's some wonderful BVs in it. I think the sound mix is really good, something that we haven't sort of discussed. It's recorded really well. I love the sounds on the album, very clean, very clear. I actually don't mind this track, and it's one of those tracks I will listen to again, and probably put on I have playlists on Spotify like blues, Clapton rock, Clapton. This would be more of my mellow Clapton tracks, so that I'd be if I'm on a long drive to Sydney, for example, and I put this on just to chill out to. I gave it a 9 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. And just to be clear, I'm ranking the tracks on it as I do every album, based on the album, not off any other album, just based on this album. I don't want to compare it to Layla and stuff like that. It's not fair. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's incomparable. So thank you for that, bro.
That's how I always do it anyway. But I'm just clarifying that.
Yeah. No. I appreciate that, and thank you guys, and Jim, it's John, it's pretty easy to rank an album that you're not going to listen to again. It's pretty easy, trust me. There's a couple of songs that I'll like Brad, I'll include on playlists, but I definitely want to make that clear before I continue with my rankings. It's definitely not an album I'm going to go out and deliberately go out of my way with Brad to say I'm going to listen to this album. I can't see myself doing that. So the second track is a Clapton original, and again, according to my research, guys, it was issued as a single in January '77, and it did not chart, Jim, in the US or the UK. So that tells you something then about the song. So I'm going some spoilers here for you. It didn't chart. There's famous comments about the Cockney Oi, that Clapton opens the track up with, which is pretty cool. There's some rip-offs going on there with Motherless Child with the riff, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. There's a couple more rip-offs coming up on the album a little bit later on. You've got a fine kind of groove going on with the rhythm section there. The organ, I dig the organ, and you're going to get that a lot. And again, incidentally, guys, I clearly don't know the band, because you guys made a connection between the band and the first track, and I didn't. So I need to go back and listen to the band again. Look, I'm not going to say a lot about the song. Normally the second track on an album's a pretty, the first couple of tracks are pretty good, and you get Carnival, and I think, my gosh, I can understand why folks went buying this as a single, and I've given this a 7 out of 10, and probably, Jim, a skip.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Okay, well, I quite like the fact that it was a little bit upbeat. It kind of, it sounded like at least they were awake when they did this. But I don't have there's not much of a song actually in this. There's like two. There isn't much need for a lyric sheet, because it's "Come with me to the carnival, you will see what you want to see." That's about the extent of the whole lyric. So he didn't spend a lot of time kind of trying to write the words for the song. The genesis of the song was he recorded it with the Rolling Stones the year before. They had a session and they took 10 attempts at it. But I don't think any of them were, they were kind of longer, but that's not it. So it's trying to add a little bit of energy to the record. It's just not the greatest. It's just not the greatest of songs, and I don't think it's ever been. I don't know why it was released as a single, but I don't think it's ever been played live. I have no recollection of it ever being generated from that. The album doesn't give you tells you who's on it, all the musicians, but it doesn't tell you who's on which track.
No.
So, it's very difficult to kind of work out who these people contributing are. I think it might be Billy Preston that's playing the organ in this. Just a feeling about that, but not really sure. So I think I'd pretty much fall in line with Andrew. I might, just because it's a little bit lively, push it up to an 8. But it's not a terrific song. It's not a terrific song. Probably should sit about a 7. That's it. Not a lot to say about it either, to be quite honest. Not a great start to the album. Let's face it. This is, you're right. The first 2 tracks should kind of hook people in and kind of make them want to keep listening. And I think the combination of these 2 doesn't really do that. There are stronger songs on the record. So yeah. Yeah, I'll stick with 8. I'll be generous today.
If folks want to go and search Carnival and Rolling Stones on YouTube and bootleg, there's some bootlegs of the Stones and Clapton performing this, and they're clearly, as Jim said, Peruvian marching powdered, drunk off their face. Yeah.
Nice.
And all you got to do is just laugh when you hear it, because it's just such a rock professor time of the time.
Oh dear, my past is coming back to haunt me.
Simon, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, I agree. I think the one thing this has got going for it, and I think Jim really put, is it has that tempo groove. But to me, this is just a groove piece. Somebody's come up with that kind of riff and that kind of, I had touches of Jessica by the Allman Brothers in it as well. But that kind of groove, and then, as you said, there's the call and response with the backing singers, but it's very simplistic lyrics, couple of lines, just. And I think there's a nice. I don't know who's the drummer is, but it's a nice. I like the shuffle drumming on it. That's really good. Like probably Jamie Oldacre, but
probably
I don't know. I'm sort of going that direction. I don't think it's Levon Helm. It's not quite him, but
no.
I'm not an expert on pick out your drummer from this lineup, but I don't know. But I think it's got nice full sound. Again, no real solo in this. It's got, but I can see why they would have picked it as a single, because it has got that groove and it's got that, as I say, for me, linked to Jessica and things. But as you so rightly say, it doesn't quite. The lyrics aren't very interesting. There's not much of them. It doesn't really go anywhere as a song. But it's got a groove. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. I like the groove to it, but
okay,
not a classic by distance. Brad,
Carnival. I mean, for me, I'm not sure about this song for a single. I'm not really on the same track as you guys with the single thing. I don't think it's a good single. At least the Rock Professor said it was a decent single idea, but I'm not having a go at your song, but I don't think
I disagree. Carry on.
Yeah, but for me, it's got that strong band DNA, like the band DNA to it. Prominent sort of piano and organ swells, the light sort of subtle guitar rhythm parts, and Clapton's tone is very clean and rhythmic. The dense but controlled driven. It's driven more by keys than guitar, this song, I think. It's a good singing. I like the up-tempo feel, and I do think it's a decent track, but I couldn't give it any more than a 7 out of 10, guys. But never a skip. I definitely, think it's not sure it's a good second song for an album either, but that's just my take on it. Andrew?
No.
Yeah, but depressing. I'm a bit depressed now. Gosh, and I'm
come on.
Gosh. Hang in there, folks. we got to do the good and the bad, you know. And Helen, we got to. Helen's asking, why the heck are we ranking the album then?
That's our mission from God, Helen, is to rank them all.
God's given us a mission to rank all of his albums. So,
the good, the bad, an old sock.
Yeah. And that'll be the last show ever, as Jim again rightly pointed out in a group little chat that we were doing.
We get to drive ourselves off a cliff where we've done old sock.
If you ever see the show cards for Old Sock, you know the show's over.
We're throwing it in.
We're chucking it in. Sign language is the next track, and I don't often do this, but there's a quote that I'd like to read, guys, that sort of sums up, I think, where the song is going for me. So this is Clapton. Dylan dropped by. Clapton saying this. Dylan dropped by, and he was just hanging out, living in a tent at the bottom of the garden, which is the studio. And he would sneak into the studio to see what was going on. He would appear and have a drink and then disappear just as quickly. I asked him if he would like to contribute something to the album, write, sing, play, anything. One day he just came in and offered me a song called Sign Language. He told me he had written the whole song down at one sitting, which is exactly the thing that Dylan would have done. Without even understanding what it was about, I loved the words and the melody, and the chord sequence was great. All in all, it's one of Clapton's favorite tracks on the album. And I have to tell you that when I first heard this song when I was about 23, 24, Jim, this was one of the standout songs after listening to these two Disappointed songs. And again, in preparation for the show, Brad, you know, listening to this album, it was really nice hearing this song. I love the lyrics. You know, we've got some lyrics that are saying something, Simon, obviously, you know, which is fantastic as opposed to the previous song. You've got Robbie Robertson on guitar, and that's unmistakably Robbie, and it's just incredible, his contribution. In fact, I was blown away when I listened to it, guys. This guy's bloody good. You know, and then you've got Clapton, I understand, playing slide guitar, you know, the resonator dobro, whatever you want to call it on this track. It's fantastic. And we can probably assume the rest of the band's on this track as well, Brad. So, you know, I love the backstory to this song. Always loved this song. And Clapton's done a couple of live versions. Lady on the Balcony, he did this recently, that acoustic set, you know, so always loved it. I've given this a 10 out of 10. It's, makes up for the two disappointments. Jim?
Yeah, well, actually, I've got exactly the same score. I really like this song too, and absolutely right. I think Bob Dylan offered Eric a couple of songs, and this is the one he chose. Ronnie Wood recorded the other one, which is a song called 7 Days, which isn't quite as good. And I think you can hear kind of Bob Dylan's version on one of those bootleg series ones of that song. But I think this is the better song, and I think it's got a great atmosphere. I think the slide playing, I think Ronnie Wood's probably on this too, but I don't know.
It does say he is, Jim, playing the slide.
Okay. Yeah.
So that is Ronnie playing slide?
Well, I think
it says Ron Wood plays guitar on Beautiful Things, Sign Language, County Jail, and All Our Pastimes.
Okay. And I think, you know, the solo from Robbie Robertson is absolutely superb, you know, and Brad, you'll know the kind of the technique of that. I think it's called pinch harmonics, and very skillful, and you know, there's that kind of false harmonic sound, and yeah, I think it's a great Robbie Robertson solo. It does remind me of. I'm a bit of a Dylan fan as well, and on the Planet Waves album, that Robbie plays some great guitar on that. Some similar stuff to this, particularly on one song. I can't remember what it was called, but definitely on one song. And I read an interesting thing about this, and they say there might be difficulties kind of remixing this album because apparently Robbie's solo was not recorded to tape; it was recorded to the mix. Brad, you'll maybe understand the difference there. So if you go back to the master tapes, that solo's not there; it's only in that mix that they used. So that was in Mark Roberty's book. Somebody had commented on that being the thing, but nonetheless, it's an absolutely perfect guitar solo to fit into the mix, and all the music combines really well in this, and there's a great kind of atmosphere, and I like the singing on it as well. I don't think there's anything not to like about it, so it's it's a 10 for me, and it's like, whoo, thank God for that, after the start. This is probably where the record starts, really, in some ways.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Jim.
Be difficult to start with it, though, wouldn't it, Jim?
No,
as no track, but I agree. I think that Bob brings his own unique style to these things, doesn't he? As you say, it's great words. He's got some proper words and stuff, and I think the melody's really good, and Bob singing in the background, it only Bob can do, and it's kind of, Eric sings and Bob is kind of weaving round him and, sing slightly behind, slightly in front. And because that's what Bob does when he's singing with other people. I don't know if you've heard him singing with Johnny Cash at all, Jim. Yeah, it's amazing. They do a One Too Many Mornings. If you ever catch that, and they change key, every verse is in a different key. And if you don't think Bob Dylan's a great singer, go and listen to that, because every single time they change key, Dylan is just straight in on the key. Whereas Johnny Cash goes, and he sort of drops himself and pulls himself into the key before he does it. And you think, yeah, all right, I get the idea that if Bob wants to do it, Bob, straight on. But I think that that ability to sing with somebody else, but still make it distinctive, I like that. I think it's, and typical Bob from this period as well, this kind of 70s period, as you mentioned, Planet Waves. That Orange Crazy, great solo as well. I noted that from Robbie Robertson, and it's just somehow it has more substance to it, this song, than the first two. And I give it a 9.5 out of 10. Not as I'd go back to it, and it's probably one of the songs I'd go back to and listen to again. So I think it has something special to it. Yeah, Brad.
This song, I'll sort of highlight a few things that you guys may have already said, without sort of doubling up too much. The instrumentation, I think that the whole thing is, a mellow sort of guitar foundation. It's got piano feel, steady backbeat. The guitar work, Clapton sort of plays supportive, nothing overstated here. Dylan's vocal performance adds the character, I think, to the song. It feels very spontaneous and organic, this song. Some smooth, mellow lead guitar work, and I did put the squank, I call them squank pinch harmonics. I think it's a Billy Gibbons thing referenced there, the squank. It's very cool that. Overall, without repeating too much what you guys have already said, I gave it a 9 out of 10, guys, and never a skip.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. And
Andrew.
Again, Mort Steiner's in the chat, so good to see you, Mort. Thank you. And appreciate you guys as ever for joining us and joining us on this journey of this interesting album. The next track is Country Jail Blues. And again, guys, when I was looking at the playlist before I went to play it, I thought, so there'll be some blues here, because I couldn't remember the song. And you know, it's an interesting song. You know, again, well, I'm assuming it's Eric playing dobro, but you guys are saying it could be Ronnie as well. So whoever's playing dobro is pretty good on this track. And you've got George Fame on piano, apparently, Jim.
Georgie Fame.
Yeah. I don't know a lot about Georgie Fame, so maybe when you guys ranking the tracks, you can talk about him. I didn't go and do a deep dive on Georgie. But yeah, an interesting track. Goes back to a guy called, from my research, a guy called Big Maceo Merriweather from 1941. So, you know, it's got some blues lineage. Look, you know, it's a blues song. Yes, doesn't have any teeth, doesn't have any bite. It's a song that I would imagine that you would record in Shangri-La Studios, you know, with the band. And no disrespect to the band, who aren't a blues band, if that makes any sense. It's just, you know, just there, and it's not doing anything for me. But again, I would say, before I pass it on to Jim, there are some great live versions that Clapton has done of this song live, which is really, really incredible. So I urge you to, I think that package, Jim, that came out about 10 years ago, there was repackaging that came out that included a lot of live mid-70s stuff. And there's a couple of versions of this song that are incredible, that definitely, Brad, have the teeth, you know, that you would expect. But for me, it just doesn't work. I'll be, again, very interested to hear what you guys have to say. And because I am a blues Clapton fan, I am kind of, Brad, forgive me, ranking it to other blues songs that he's done. You know, and that's probably my fault. And because of that, I'm going to give it 7.5 out of 10. But I won't skip this one, Jim. You know, there are some good things to it, mainly the studio sort of band vibe that's coming through it. Jim.
Yeah, I like it, actually. I think I like the piano, the intro. I think it is well done. I like the slide guitar on this, and Eric sings in the low register of his voice, the lower part of it, which I think is a bit different. And you know, I think you know, I'm always going to be a bit biased because I just like I think his granny once said that she loved it when he played the blues, and I think that's probably something up with me, you know. I love all this. Isn't the best blues song on the album, but it's a good one. It's a traditional one, and you're right, it's been revived. I think he did it in the Albert Hall in '93. He did a kind of history of the blues sort of concept.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It would be nice to have that out on some kind of form of release, because he went right back to people like Scrapper Bracknell and people I'd never heard of. People, it was like a history lesson of the blues in some ways. But
brilliant,
you know, so he's got kind of some knowledge there of what. And Big Maceo Merriweather, he covered a few of his songs. From that point, I think Eric's kind of interesting in when he approaches blues songs. He can sometimes take things that have been piano-led blues songs and, you know, make a kind of guitar version of them, and you know, including the piano. So he doesn't just go, oh, you know, there's a Buddy Guy song or a Freddie King song. You know, he'll draw from the whole type, and Eddie Boyd being a good example of that. So yeah, I like the song, and yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10. But you know, I'm kind of
wow.
There you go. I like it.
Yeah. Yes, it's I think, Tim, I know he's gone back. He's now playing the blues. He's kind of in, you know, Eric home territory, isn't he? for me. So it's always nice when he's in there. It's funny, isn't it? This bass, I didn't think he felt comfortable singing in his bass voice, because a couple of times he goes up, doesn't he, to his proper voice, where I expect him to be singing that, but without much conviction. But it's kind of like, I'm going to go out there because I feel I might be more comfortable, but then it doesn't quite. So I'm going back to the bass voice, which I don't sound very convinced about. I don't know whether I'm right about it or wrong, but it didn't sound very convincing to me, in a vocal performance. I think it's that's a real problem for me. And Eric, sing it where you normally sing it, and I'd be interested to hear the 93 version of it to see where he sings it. But I got the feeling he wasn't very comfortable about where he was singing it. I think it's got a nice blues groove. I think that I'm going with I like the drumming. I think the drumming's really good and sets a groove. I think that's Jamie Oldacre doing that myself. And I think he's a great drummer, and he lays it down, and they puts a really nice groove to it. Some nice call and response with the slide and the voice. I think the slide is Ronnie Wood, but I could be wrong. But and then you've got the solo where the slide guitar plays with the second guitar. So Eric and Ronnie kind of doing that almost Stones-esque thing of mixing the two leads together, which I think is pretty cool. As I say, the odd bit for me is the pitching of it, but it's quite a decent blues song, and I like Eric playing the blues. I give it 8 out of 10, and I wouldn't skip it. Brad.
Hey, Tony.
Country jail blues. Obviously, it's got that country blues feel to it. Clapton, I wasn't sure who was playing the slide on this. I did see that. I think Ronnie Wood's on this one. I'm pretty sure he was. But I'm pretty much where you guys are with the guitar playing. I think I agree vocally. I think. I don't know if he was going for more the tone of the song. He was going for more of a dry, intimate, almost front porch blues style thing going vocally and with the sound of the song. I kind of like it in a sense where it's a bit raw. It's got some nice slide guitar work backing up what you guys have said. And overall, I think it's got that rootsy, authentic sort of feel to the song. I love Clapton playing the blues. I'd rather hear him playing electric blues. I always think just Clapton's more the electric blues guy, with the driven strat sort of thing going there. But this one I gave 7 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Andrew.
Yeah, and it's a song that Johnny doesn't need to hear again too. So and good to see our friend Tony. So Tony's
Morning, Tony.
Georgie Fame played with Mitch Mitchell in the early 60s.
Yeah, and he had his biggest hit was the Ballad of Bonnie and Clyde. The Faye Dunaway.
Yes.
Played with Alan Price as well. Price and
played with Alan Price, yeah. Price
I think
and
they
Fame.
had an album called The Price of Fame or something.
He had he's quite cool. He played the Hammond organ a bit in sort of Booker T and the MG style. But yeah, well known.
Van Morrison's band as well for a while, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He played Van the Man.
Oh, I've been around. Are we up to side 2 yet, Rock Professor?
One more.
One more track, sir.
One more track.
One more track.
So the next track is All Our Past Times. Now, this is genuinely, again, from my research, guys, and I wasn't aware of it when I was listening to it back in, the early 1990s, that it was, it had pedigree, but written by Clapton and Danko. You've got Danko on vocals with apparently Garth on vocals as well. Richard and Robbie Robertson's in there as well, guys. Kind of dig that. I kind of like it. just a good collaboration. You could imagine, that they had a lot of fun doing this. And if you have a look at some of the photos that we're going to show at halftime, there was a bit of a camaraderie there. And the Rock Professor said a little key at the beginning of the show, that I was going to tap into in my conclusion, that, there was definitely some kind of personal thing there for Clapton with hanging out with these guys, because he hung out with them in the late 60s, didn't he, Jim? When they were at Big Pink, and he wanted to do that. He wanted to be part of that, and left and went back to Cream, and carried that idea with the rest, right through his career. I think tried to have it with and to a success, to a degree, with the Dominoes. And then, wanted to sort of taste it, Brad, a little bit with these guys. And this is a song that proves to me that, he did that. I like that backstory. I dig it. It's a good song. I'm going to give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. And never a skip. Jim?
Yeah, I think that pretty much says it all, Andrew. I think nice. It's a country song, and there's some nice kind of country guitar backing vocals. Rick Danko's vocal is really good, actually. When he sings his verse, it sounds unmistakably like him, and I love his voice. I just think Rick Danko was, well, all the band apart from Robbie were great singers, really. Yeah. It's a kind of nice kind of country song, and Eric's a bit hoarse in the singing. I think Brad mentioned that, or Simon, that the singing on this, he's a little bit hoarse, but it kind of sort of suits this song, I think. So, I think it's quite good, and I'd kind of happily give this a sort of 8 out of 10.
Yep.
Yeah, yes, I don't know much to add to that. I think it's got some cool Barrowhouse piano on it, isn't it? That's really good. And that just kind of, and a nice restrained solo at the end, kind of melodic and soulful. I think, that Eric's kind of stretching himself out a bit on this, and, showing some, I think, Eric's sort of self-doubt about his soloing, his abilities as a lead guitar player. I think that's one of the things on this album. It's like, that, as you mentioned, Jim, that the thing about, not wanting to be in a band, and not wanting to be the soloist, and not wanting to be in Cream because it was all virtuoso, and didn't want to do that anymore. And, I can see that this is where he is right now. And I also agree with you about, I don't think the drinking is doing his voice any favors myself. I would say possibly that kind of raw hoarseness in his voice is the result of
4 packs
as
a
Andrew
day
said,
too.
well, yeah, few cigarettes, and when you get later on in the day, and he's on his second bottle of brandy or whatever, the voice is not going to be quite what it was in the morning. Maybe
Third bottle
later in the day.
Third bottle in the afternoon. He's having his first one at 11.
Anyway, just the mere thought of it is quite scary, isn't it? Anyway,
Yeah.
So again, it's a kind of, it's never going to make a best of, is it? It's never going to be. You'd never put it in your top 20 tracks of Eric, but it has a good vibe. I think a good feel to it, and I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. And I wouldn't skip it either. Brad?
All Our Past Times. I think it's a very laid-back feel on this track. Clapton's strat tone is very glassy and expressive. He's, very smooth phrasing and lyrical guitar playing in the solo. It's more storytelling than technical playing. The feel of the song is deeply reflective and soulful. As you guys have mentioned, the solo just cruises along. There's nothing Claptonish, like blues orientated behind it. It's just playing for the song. Some great BVs and harmonies. Good song to finish side one on. But I gave it a 7 out of 10, guys, and never to skip. Andrew?
Yeah, well done. So yeah, we're going to throw some pics up, guys. So yeah, thank you for Rankin Side One. So this is the cover. Always intrigued by the cover, and I think the cover says it all, guys. This is
yes.
An interesting cover. This is the back of the cover, which is if you can read the handwriting, it tells you something about what's going on in the album.
You mean not that you couldn't tell from the front cover?
No. And this is one of the photos that provided, obviously, the famous cover of Clapton there. And, you know, you can just imagine him. This just, for me, this captures him in his element during this period of the 1970s, Jim. This is Eric Clapton, you know. Yeah, this is what he's doing. Playing music and knocking back drinks. And it's evident. So this is one of the photos. So that's the band there. Ronnie Wood, the backup singers. And so what did you say, Simon? They were on their second bottle of brandy in the afternoon?
Okay, third. Jeez. Paul Q.
Obviously.
Oh, that was Paul Q. Richard, yes.
Yes. Having a bit of fun. And this is Ronnie, and he was a notorious party boy too, guys. So let's,
he was,
we can't let him off the hook, Brad. We can't let Ronnie off the hook. He would have been front and center as well.
Yeah, 100%. He was a Rolling Stone after all. Was he? He was a Stone at this point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
74, yeah.
Just about. 75. 75. He was a Stone.
Was he the new? Was he the new guy yet or not?
No, no. He must have been the face.
Well, this was 76, so he'd played in.
Yeah, he wasn't for a year.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yeah. No, you're right, Jim. He had been a Stone for a year. No, he's a Stone.
He's a new boy.
New boy, Ronnie Wood.
And you know, go and Google Ronnie Wood and Eric Clapton in the 1970s and read some of the stories that they got up to. My God. And this is in Shangri-La Studios. This is recording this album. And again, it's just a great photo. The amp there, that Fender amp, Brad mic'd up, the drums there, just everything nice and tight.
Yeah.
Nice 335 there. Look at that.
I wonder if that actually made the record, because most of it sounds like Strat to me.
Probably. Is that a double pickup on that red Strat?
Yeah, it's got a different color.
Isn't it? It's good. Yeah. I'm just looking at that, Jim. Absolutely going, what's that? A double pickup on it?
Don't forget they recorded 30 songs though, Brad.
Yeah.
So So there's probably a few songs with that.
Would that have been Clapton's famous 335 or not?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
That's the one that was at Albert Hall.
Albert Hall. Yeah. Wow. Unreal.
All right, guys. So that's all the photos we got. This one here. This is a famous photo of the Backdoor Man. Famous one there. Holding up the traffic in London.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the Paul McCartney step, isn't it, on the photo? That's where Paul was, wasn't it?
Brad's still banned from London for that.
Yes, I am. The funny thing behind that picture is there's a lovely lady standing in front of me there trying to take a photo, holding up traffic that's trying to get past and nearly killing her. So, thank you for that. And thank you for the birthday love, everyone. Thank you.
No problem, brother. No problem. We're going to have a party on the channel in April, here on the channel.
In April.
In April. Yeah.
What happens in April?
Big surprise in April. Next track is Hello Old Friend. It's a Clapton song. And guys, when I was doing some research, I read a couple of reviews, obviously, because I like to pick up on what the music journalists, Jim, were saying around the time when these albums came out, because they give you a bit of an idea. And you know, we're nerds here. We like to put ourselves into headspaces, Brad, don't we? You know, we like to listen to the music, but we sort of want to sort of be archaeologists and sort of dig into what was happening around the time, and you know, to give an appreciation. And that sort of comes back, I think, on some of our commentaries and comments on the songs. And you know, I was interested in a lot of comments where people just ditched the song, you know, and people were ditching it because it was, quote unquote, Simon, a pop song. But one of the great things that I like about Clapton is that he does have that ability, going back to his first album, like Let It Rain, for example. You know, let your love rain down on me. You know, you could say those are corny lyrics. Let it rain, you know, but it's a great song, you know, great radio song. Hello, old friend. I knew this song.
Let's be fair. Cream always had hits, didn't they?
Yes.
Pop rock songs. I'd be going there a lot of all that Cream stuff, all those 2.5 minute, 3 minute songs. They're all pop rock songs, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So I didn't have a problem with this song. You know, it was a song that I knew well before the album, because it's probably, you know, been on some compilation somewhere. I don't know, but I'm very aware of the song, love the song, and, you know, reinforces in my mind that Clapton has that ability to have a catchy tune. And this is that song. It's, you know, I think it's a well-penned song. It's played well. Clapton sings well. I think it's one of the great songs on to open up a side two that he's produced. I like it. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Very, very surprised to sort of hear it after, Brad, probably 10 years of not listening to it. I dig it. Jim.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. I think it should have maybe been the opening track of the album. Might have been a good choice for that. It's breezy. Yeah. It's breezy, and you know, nice Hammond organ playing on it. Jesse Ed Davis, I think, plays the slide guitar on this track. I think Eric's playing the acoustic, and I think I remember sort of, you know, as a kid, I wanted to go and see Eric Clapton in concert, and there weren't many opportunities, because in, I think, 76, and he did play in the UK, but there were a few shows, and he was doing tax exile thing, really. So I didn't see it until 78 was the first time I got the chance to see him. But I think we all tuned in to see the Old Grey Whistle Test.
Yes.
In 1977, and he played this on that, and it was, so, you know, it's kind of stuck with me. Probably one of the first times I saw him playing on TV was that show, and
yes,
this was one of the songs there. I like it. I've always liked it. You know, I think I give it a 10 as well. I think it's I like the lyrics as well. I think, you know, they kind of talk about kind of stopping and you know, meeting
smelling the roses.
Yeah. It's a nice song.
Yeah,
I agree. It's got, for me, it's got quite that slide guitar, very Harrison-esque. It always reminds me of George Harrison, that slide
100%.
motif that he plays. And you know, if you're getting your inspiration from George Harrison, you're probably doing something right, which is
not bad.
Which is, well, you know, and I think that contributes to making this a really good song. I agree with you. I think that, you know, Eric does pop rock pretty well, you know, and this was a hit single off the album, and it's the one I particularly remembered when it came on. Oh yes, that one. Yeah, as you said, nice slide, you know, with that motif. It's got some really good backing singers in the chorus. As I say, lots of backing singing in the chorus. So I think though Eric's in reasonable voice on this, obviously early enough in the day to catch him. Nice organ solo, and I wrote down an excellent pop melody. You know, it's got the song memorable. You sing it back to yourself, and and the nice instrumental parts at the end with the slide, then the organ and the guitar. That's pretty cool. So I give it 9.5 out of 10, but never a skip.
Well done,
Brad.
Hello, old friend. I think it's the closest thing to a radio single on this album, without a doubt.
You got it.
It's got an upbeat sort of rocky country sort of shuffle feel to the song. The instrumentation of it, I mean, it's that prominent piano, light electric rhythm sort of thing, light rhythm section going on, very clean strat rhythm tones, and some tasty fills and whatnot, and some really cool slide playing. And I put Harrison-ish slide playing, so I agreed with that.
Yes, Brad.
The mood is warm, welcoming, reflective. It's a bit reflective. I think makes you think about the past and people and whatnot.
Sure.
I think it's a cool little ditty. I gave it a 9 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Andrew.
Awesome. Ellen gave it 10 out of 10 as well. So always appreciate the rankings. And Helene likes this song too. So fantastic. Again, so guys, looking at the track list before we went, before I put the earbuds in, Double Trouble. I went, oh yeah, again, because I don't remember Double Trouble on this version. Put it on, blown away. I was blown away by this version. It's definitely one of the standout tracks for me. Otis Rush, we know how important Otis Rush was to Eric Clapton. And I think sometimes people might forget that, guys. There's a famous photo of Eric when he's a blues breaker with Otis Rush on his guitar strap, so,
Yes.
and if you dig deep, he does talk about him. But on the surface, when people are talking about his influences, it's Robert Johnson, and Muddy Waters and stuff like that. But if you're in the know, you know that Otis Rush is definitely one of the key guys that he learnt a lot from. And it's really pleasing to hear, for me, again, this week or the last couple of weeks, guys, Clapton channeling this version, because it sounds great. It's a track that goes back to 1958, so it wasn't particularly old, Jim. When these guys are playing it, it's not. This show's been around as longer than the time between 58 and when Clapton was playing it, with the Blues Breakers. So that's saying something.
We've been ranking Eric Clapton albums longer than that.
That's right. And Peter Green, the great Peter Green, does a great version of this on the Blues Breakers album with John Mayall as well in '67. So a key guitar player for these British guys, and that was exciting me. When I rediscovered this song, because again, you go back and you remember, Just One Night, Jim, where he does a blistering version of this on Just One Night. And then that famous bootleg from, 85, where Clapton again does another blistering live version, Brad, from that 85 period, where he's just sounding so good. But he's good on this too. So for me, I've got a big smile on my face, Simon, when I'm listening to this track. I'm going, yeah, baby, this is it. This is probably a song that they've recorded, Jim, at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. They've had their first bottle, first sip at 11, and they're cranking at 12. So definitely one of the greatest tracks the greatest track on this album for me. I've given this a Brad score, and I'm glad this album has one. I'm so, how relieved I am.
How relieved are you?
Oh, Jim.
Yeah, I totally agree. I love this song, and if you can see my notes, I've given it a Brad score there as well.
Good man.
because it had to be. I adore every version of this song, and he did it on the Whistle Test TV show as well. So
Oh yes.
it's the sort of thing that keeps you going with Eric. When you get a real moment like this, when you have the not so good stuff, you can cling on to the fact, well, that was a fantastic track. The Otis Rush original, I've got that on a CD, and I listened to that. It's brilliant. You know, I mean, those early cuts from Otis Rush, you can see why the people liked it. And I agree with Andrew. You know, Eric gets serious when he covers Freddie King and Otis Rush, and you know, and all those guys. You can actually see that he, you know, he's more in the zone. He's, as Andrew also said, he plays this in concert, not all the time, but he returns to it periodically. And I can tell you one thing from I've heard him play it maybe 2 or 3 times in concert, and every time he starts playing this, you could hear a pin drop in the in the arena. People are just kind of taken in with it because it's actually quite intense. You know, there's a lot of emotion in that, and you know, it's really good. It's a good song, and it's great blues playing. So yeah, Brad score from me. I love it, and yeah, biggest. The most excited I've ever been at Eric concerts. I've been listening to him playing this particular song in different versions, and on the From the Cradle tour. I don't think it wasn't on that album that came out, because he didn't start playing it until, you know, the second half of the tour in 95. In 94, he wasn't playing it, and in 95 he did. And if you kind of Google some of the versions from Japan, I think they're particularly brilliant because they have the kind of horn section, the kick horns on them too. So, which I think was part of the kind of the original thing. Anyway, totally love it. So I'm not going to babble on. Just love it. Oh, there's Tony saying he saw Otis Rush in Edinburgh in 2000. So I wasn't at that gig. Tony, no, I wasn't. So yeah, Tony gets around for sure. You know, encountered him in London on a few occasions. But yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah.
So just a couple of Otis Rush first recorded I Can't Quit You, Babe. So if anyone is any doubt, the Willie Dixon song, Led Zeppelin, of course, covered it, all sorts. But and also he plays the guitar strung upside down. Yeah. So the E string is at the bottom of the bottom, as if he were left-handed, but he isn't. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff. Yeah. The first thing I noticed is the classic. It's got the classic album trick of, especially blues albums, of track 7. I know we'll have a waltz time song, so it's a 3/4 rather than 4/4. So that's pretty cool. It's Eric going back and playing the blues, isn't it? You know, kind of in spite of himself. I've not played the blues yet. Oh, but yes. So, and I think he always cheers you up when Eric's playing the blues, doesn't it? He's like, it seems like it's home territory, home 100%. Turf. I feel comfortable in this space. You know, all of a sudden, the guitar's got plenty of passion, nice gritty blues guitar solo. You think, oh, that's Eric. There we go. Look, he's still in there somewhere. Yeah, you know, some nice piano and organ coloration in it. But you know, it's really about, you know, him stretching out, certainly towards the end. He has that long fade out. I put long fade out, yeah, on my notes. But, you know, and I think that home turf, that kind of, you know, I'm afraid, Eric, you can't escape from the fact, and clearly he's realised this because of what he does now, and, you know, with 24 Nights and all of that stuff, you know, that the blues is his home territory. He's a blues guy. Stop, you know, and clearly in this period he's fighting that quite a lot. But, you know, when he does it, it's really good. And, you know, I gave this a 10 out of 10 and never skip. I mean, absolutely. You just feel like he's on home territory and it's all working in a way that it hasn't really kind of come into focus, you know, much on the album before that. Brad.
100%, Simon.
Double Trouble. Finally, an Eric song, like a song that he can stretch out on and give us some Eric Clapton. You know, you're waiting for this. You know, when you're listening to a Clapton album, you're waiting for something like this. The slow blues is, I mean, it's Clapton's home territory. It's where he belongs, playing the blues. The guitar's got a thick vocal-like tone to it, heavy sustained strat tone. Obviously, with the classic expressive vibrato, the amp sounds cranked. It's where Eric Clapton deserves to be. That's his thing. You know what I mean? Soloing is very controlled with his intensity. Obviously, not as fiery as his Cream era Clapton, but it's just as deeply emotional. There's a lot of great playing in it. The arrangement is sparse. It's giving, like, you know, the guitar room to breathe, and great raw vocal performance from Eric. I think, you know, we all expect Clapton to do blues on any album he does, and we love all eras of Clapton. We love, you know, especially when he plays a lot of acoustic blues and that. But I love hearing him play with a Strat or a Gibson, just going for it electrically. And this is arguably the most traditional Clapton blues moment on the album. And without waffling and repeating everything you guys have already said, 100 out of 10, and it's the only 100 out of 10 on the album for me. Shouldn't give that away, but that's just to show the intensity of the reaction I got from listening to it again. Andrew.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's my only Brad score on the album too. You know, yeah. It's just I'm glad that we're, because I wasn't sure honestly how you guys would rank this, because I had an idea that, you know, that it would be solid scores, but you guys are on the money there. We followed up with an interesting song, and when I say interesting, I genuinely mean interesting, because you would probably expect this type of song, you know, to follow this song. You know, you've got a country-inspired waltz, Jim, you know, and I can't give Marcy Levy too much grief, because, you know, she's an incredible songwriter. She's an incredible, integral member of this band for a while there. She was part of this band, Brad and Simon, in the 70s, right up to the 80s. You know, so you know, she had a big role to play, and she, you know, was allowed to contribute songs on Clapton's albums, and they never had a thing going too, guys, from what I know, you know. So there was definitely from that point of view something platonic, something musical, Brad and Simon, you know, and Jim going on, unless you guys know something that I don't know. But, you know, he definitely had something cooking with Yvonne, you know. That's well sure.
Documented. Yeah.
Well documented, yeah, had something cooking with her. So and that's all cool, because you got to do that now and again.
Of course.
Guys, you guys are, yeah. Well, I'm a blues man. Well, how else are you going to say it? You know, you want to do some cooking?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Get out of that kitchen and rattle in pots and pans. Yes.
You just got to do some cooking. I've put down Eric playing dobro or the slide on this, you know, but you guys have said, well, it could be Ronnie, you know, or it could be Garth Hudson. It could be Robbie Robertson.
Not Garth Hudson. He never played slide.
Yeah, I know. Sounds like Eric to me. I kind of like the song, and because Macy is involved in it, I've given it a solid 9. I like it. I still got my smile on, Brad, after listening to this song, after listening to Double Trouble. So there's a connection there. That's worth a couple of points, bro. Jim.
Yeah, Marcy's just lovely, and I think when those sessions were going on and her time with Eric, she must have been drinking chamomile tea and
Yes.
glasses of lemonade because
To
she
his,
has not aged over the
cognac.
years. She still
No.
looks sensational, and there's
Yeah.
some pictures of her she's posted on Instagram, and she doesn't look as if she's aged at all. What an incredible thing! So I don't think Marcy was drinking kind of half a bottle of brandy when she was in
No.
the sessions. I think she was probably looking after herself. And yeah, it's a country song, and it gives us the title because one of the lyrics in the song is "There's more reason to cry," and they've obviously changed that to "No reason to cry." So that was a little link to the album, the origin of the title. So yeah, I mean, I'd given it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's a nice song. It feels strange to do that, to have a kind of, without, you felt maybe Eric should have sung a little bit of it, but I don't think he could have done that. So yeah, it's a nice track, and I think I'll just leave it at that. She's been a great contributor to the band for sure. Good appointment.
Yeah, don't worry, Jim. He's got a writing credit on it, so it's probably it's making £1 or 2 off it at least, without doing any. I mean, no, I don't mean that. Yeah, I mean, she sings brilliantly, doesn't she? It's great gospel feel. Just got go from blues to gospel on this. The slide does that really nice call and response with the vocals, her singing, and she builds it up, doesn't she? She's quite held back at the beginning, and builds it up towards the end. And as you said, that kind of slide solo acoustic is pretty simple but pretty effective, way to end the song. So I give it 8.5 out of 10. Never a skip. Brad.
Innocent Times. I'm not sure if they were so innocent maybe when they were recording it. We don't know. We'll never know.
It's a hark back song.
Yes. Look, it's got a very casual mood to this song. I think it feels very loose for me. The background feels, the emphasis is on this interplay rather than the spotlight moments. The dobro stylings with that, again, porch blues stylings. I'm guessing it is Eric. I don't know. I don't know if it's Eric or Ronnie. You guys might be able to clarify that.
It's Eric, not Ronnie. I don't think it's Ronnie. Eric. Ronnie's on side one.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is Eric.
Eric.
Yeah. It's very cool. I dig it. There's some pretty cool singing there from Marcy, as we've mentioned. And, it's not my favorite song on the album. I must admit, the first time I ever heard the album, I was like, what? Like, I had to sort of put 2 and 2 together and really sort of look into it. I couldn't understand why there was a female singing a song on the album. Being in an Eric Clapton, it's not like a band, it's an Eric solo album. I was like, what? But obviously, getting to the point where I'm a more mature guy, and you realize the more access we've got on the internet, you can understand why he put her on there. And I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Andrew.
Well done. Ellen's given it 8 out of 10. So thank you, Ellen. And Tony's asking, have you guys seen the Montreux gig with Otis Rush and they do Double Trouble? Absolutely.
Yes.
You got to check that out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah. So, worth watching. You got to check it out. He's got that Doyle Bramhill style of playing the guitar, but he plays it. Yeah, he plays it exactly the same as Doyle, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Upside down, left hand, and upside down, left hand. Yeah. It's definitely interesting way of playing it. Hey guys, we're up to Hungry, a track penned by Marcy again and Dick Sims, the keyboardist. If you guys might remember in my opening track, there's a connection here between Motherless Child on the opening track on this track here definitely is a rewrite of Any Day from Derek and the Dominoes on the Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs album. It's very clear. You know, and I would have said to you guys maybe 5 years ago when we were doing this that would have been okay. But, you know, I think it's kind of sloppy at this level to do that when you consider it's only, 4 or 5 years, 5 years after the Layla album came out. You know, I'll be interested to hear what you guys have to say. If I'm being too harsh, well, I'll take the time out. You know, there's some cool slide guitar going on there, and the organ. I love the drums. You know, it's a pretty cool arrangement, but you know, it's very clear where the song comes from. You know, it's yeah, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10, and you know, this is just an album filler for me. Not much going on here. It's just okay. Jim,
is it the worst track on the album because it's the penultimate? I'm joking. I'm joking.
I wouldn't skip it, but it's, you know, it's a lazy, it's sloppy, like, you know, because it's nicked. Jim.
Yeah, I've written the same thing about the kind of reminiscent of the kind of Layla thing. I think the drumming's good, and it's definitely got that vibe of those tracks like Any Day or Keep On Growing. That kind of it kind of sounds like the Jim Gordon type thing, and it doesn't quite work. I don't know if the kind of the singing, you know, obviously
correct
a little bit, and then you know. The what are the backing vocals become the lead vocals in a way, and because it just doesn't quite 100% gel, but there's some nice slide guitar on it. But yeah, I mean, it's like they've definitely wanted to kind of channel that kind of vibe from the Layla album, but haven't quite pulled it off. So
doesn't work.
It's a 7 out of 10 for me. Yeah, I think that's a good score to give it. But never been played live either, I don't think. It's one of those tracks that's just been kind of like one and done, you know. It's on the record and it's gone.
Says it all, doesn't it? Yeah. If it hasn't been played live.
Yeah. Well, Mort made a good comment up earlier in the chat. You know, if you're going to be doing some Layla stuff, you need Bobby Whitlock. And he ain't here.
True.
Simon.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think I can understand that, you know, you've had Marcy Levy sing on the last track, and then she takes a major part of this as well, as you said, Jim, the backing vocals almost like the lead vocals, but bit of Eric, but a lot of vocals in for the chorus, and that bringing that gospel feel to it. But I think you're right. It doesn't quite fit together, does it? It's a nice bit. It's got the changes like hard to handle at the end of the verse, stuff like that, sort of sneaking in a reference to that, and some quite decent slide guitar solo stuff at the end. I think that's pretty cool. But I agree with you. It doesn't quite work, and you know, you'd think you'd probably leave it off and do something else if you were thinking about it. But I too gave it a 7 out of 10. No, I wouldn't skip it, but it's fine. But I don't think it has much really to it. Brad,
hungry. I'm getting hungry now too because I can smell dinner in the background. But what I'm getting with your reaction to the song is very similar to mine. I think there's some strong instrumentation there, like the slide solo, very smooth stylings. The outro slide playing is my favorite part of the song. Hit or miss with the song. I think that initially I was impressed with it, but the more I listened to it, the less attached I felt to the song. Without sort of repeating too much about what you guys have already said, it's not The best song, it's okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. I wouldn't skip it, but it's not my favorite on the album. So, Andrew.
Yeah, I agree, guys. So we're up to the last track, and again, guys, I did some research. Mark Roberty, who is known to a lot of us as one of the greatest Eric Clapton scholars, who's written many books, Jim, about Clapton, and commentated on a lot of albums and songs and tracks and eras of Clapton over the years. A lot of what he's said I've agreed with over the years, and a lot of what he's said too I haven't agreed with, and that's okay, because it's like the show that we do here, guys. It's just opinions at the end of the day, and if anything, it could be a signpost to you going out and checking out some songs. So I do recommend, if you haven't already, I've got some book reviews up here on the channel talking about Mark Roberty's books, so go and check them out. But he's when I was reading a couple of his comments on Black Summer Rain, he considers this an essential deep track. And I was interested in, why, because I didn't remember the song, before I was, before I listened to it. And if Roberty's comments had an influence on me, well, okay, I'll put my hand up. But I can understand why. I can understand why he thinks that, because this is the track where you get the heartfelt, the real Eric Clapton in the voice. We've made a couple of comments about his voice being up and down and a bit dodgy and not quite right on a couple of tracks. I think for me, Jim, this is where he gets it right. And we've got to remember too, that Clapton now is the band leader, a guitar player, and a singer. So this is where he's performing as the vocalist for me on this track. Straightforward, rock and roll song again, which is something that Clapton's really, really good at, and taps into a little bit later on in the and certainly on the album that comes after this, guys. How I said that this is a stepping stone for Slow Hand, and I can see now the thread. I can see where perhaps Roberty is going, Jim, with some of these comments, and so I appreciate that. So I dig this track. I've given this a 10 out of 10 because it's given me satisfaction when I've ended every time listening to this album after this song. And I know in the past when I've ranked albums that have been, up and down, I thought, oh gosh, I can't wait for it to finish, or, or that was horrible. And we've been honest like that when we have spoken about these albums. But when I listen to this track, Jim, I think, this is a fantastic ending to, an up and down album. And I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I think it's pretty good, Jim.
Yeah, I like the song too, and I think it's a kind of gorgeous ballad, nice organ and clean guitar. I think Eric sings it really well, and I like the chorus. I think the refrain, Black Summer Rain, just kind of goes well. I don't think that he's played this live, but I think it would work really well in certain circumstances in a concert. I like the guitar outro as well, the kind of playing throughout. So yeah, I mean, I give it 10 out of 10 as well. And I've always liked this song, and I think he's got the capability of kind of catching. So it's evocative, and it's it's emotive. It's a nice tune, and it just like the last song didn't work. This song just does work. It kind of hits a pocket, and it's
you said it perfectly.
It's very good. So I like it. You're talking about the kind of critics and things over the time. I did remember reading one review of this album that I thought was too harsh, but the person said the album's called No Reason to Cry. It should actually be called No Reason to Buy. You know, it was a very, yeah. So, but you know, you can understand why people would look at this album and go, yeah, there's some really not great. It's not. You wouldn't say this is an album. Every track's great, but there are some good moments on it, and that's what I've always felt as a kind of fan over the years. That you know, even when there is an album that isn't his best album, you'll always find some moments of quality in there. There will always be some high quality stuff within it, even if the whole isn't quality. And you know, this album is that, you know, that old English expression. It's like a curate's egg. You know, the expression "good in parts," and that probably sums it up for me. So yeah. 10 out of 10. Wouldn't skip it.
No. It's as you say, Jim, and I think that's what I absolutely been. The last song didn't really work. This does work, and I think part of that is Eric sings well on this. You know, he's sort of, you know, emotionally, he's got that plaintive edge to it, and he's doing the I don't know who's doing the slide. I'm going to say it's him. So he does that call and response back with himself, you know, and he's always really good at that, and it gives it for me a sort of solid base into what he's doing in the song. I like the chorus with the backing singers. That's really good. The main instrument in the verses, cheers, Gretch, sleep well. The main instrument in the verses is the organ, and that works well, so that you've got a contrast between the chorus and the drums are in properly for the chorus. But you're right, the end stuff is great, isn't it? The instrumental interlude into the solo. Then you've got the two guitars and the organ kind of playing. So he's got that kind of integration with other instruments, but he's still playing, you know, doing some proper soloing. And you know, I like the instrumental coda to the Fate. I think that's really cool. I give it 9.5 out of 10. I'll skip. Brad.
Black Summer Rain. I love the title name. It's got some mystique behind it, and I dig that. I dig it. That the organ gives it that sort of atmospheric feel to it. The guitars are sparse in certain parts of the song, but when Clapton's playing, he's playing authentic EC stylings. I call it EC stylings because it's that classic slow hand thing that we're all familiar with. It's reflective. I like the raw sort of vocal approach, and there's some great vocals, background vocals in it as well. Very mellow, clean solo. It's a very plunky strat tone for me. And this album has some very clean strat tones. I think you mentioned that last time we were on, Andrew. This is a very clean album. I enjoy the lyrics. The song is a great album closer. I gave it 9 out of 10, guys, and never a skip. Andrew.
Well done. I think we should pat ourselves, guys, on the back. And I have to agree with what Jim said. We're not going to hang around here much too longer because we're pretty close to 2 hours. But I think Jim's right. You know, during these clunky 70s albums, there are some gems, and there's a couple of clunky. You know, we've done a few clunky ones, and you know, but it's definitely no 461 Ocean Boulevard, and definitely no Slow Hand.
No.
But you know, we can see why this album's important, you know, for Clapton, because it's given him that band feeling, maybe that psychological, emotional sort of balance and stability that he needed, Simon, because, you know, Clapton talks about his state of mind a lot, you know, in his biography and in reviews and report interviews over the years, you know, so that sort of propelled him to the next stage of his career. And clearly this album, this project gave him, you know, the confidence to go and do Slow Hands. So, well, and I appreciate that. So I think we've done pretty much. We've done There's One in Every Crowd. We've done Slow Hand. We've done this. We've done Backless. We've done Ocean Boulevard. I think this is it, boys.
Have we done EC was here? I'm
Yes.
sure we have.
Yeah, yes, we have. Yeah.
God, we've done the 70s. We've done the 70s albums.
We haven't done the live in Japan though.
Right.
We haven't done that album, so we've got to do that one before we do any other. Yeah. We've got to do that one
before we crash into the 80s.
But yeah, Sorry, Jim.
I was just going to say it's interesting that you can now go back and forward with the music, but there's a new Cream website that's just been set up, and a Cream band official, and there's the Cream albums are getting reissued on vinyl there. There's a Record Store Day Cream release, and we're very, very hopeful that there's going to be very soon a deluxe Wheels on Fire finally that's been on the blocks for a number of years. So stuff to look forward to, even in going back to the 60s and the Cream stuff. So we'll wait and see. But you mentioned the Just One Night. That is an impeccably recorded live album. The quality of that, in the Budokan, and the recording engineers there did. I talked about the pin drop moments and Double Trouble. It's very quiet, some of the playing, and it's just very, very, very well put together. That. So there's many fans for 24 Nights, but there's a lot of people have a strong regard for the Just One Night live in Japan album. Yeah.
Well, because he's basically playing Blackie through those Music Man amps, loud.
Yeah.
He's not playing through his effects like he was playing through 24 Nights, Jim. So that's just the. Yeah. So again, we look forward to talking about that album. But we'll get together here and have some parties. We'll do some information, as Jim said, comes through on these Cream re-releases. We'll get together on a Sunday and we'll bump any shows and to get together and talk about that, because if we get that box set, that release, Jim, that will just be that would be incredible. So we'll keep you up to date, and we'll do some shows, I'm sure, on that, guys.
Yeah. So thank you, Andrew, for picking this album, because I haven't listened to it for a long time. So yeah.
Oh, mate, I haven't listened to it for years too. So yeah, I'm glad that we did. Who's got the album pick for next week, boys?
Well, I presume it's me.
I think it is the Rock Professor.
Thank
you, Jim, for joining us. Thank you, Jim, for joining us and giving us your wealth of knowledge.
Yeah. And well, Jim will join us when we get some Cream stuff too, I'm sure, because we look forward to that. But the Rock Professor will be giving us his pick. So if you hit the notifications button, we'll do a show card, and we'll be here this time next week. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do. I subscribe back to everybody that subscribes to us. We are picking up subscriptions, and we are picking up some views. We're just about 15,000 off 2 million views. So thank you for supporting our channel, and also thank you for the nice comments that people give us on our communities post page from people that are just fully supportive of what we do here, guys, just talking about albums. And it's interesting because a few people are saying now that they're digging out their albums that they've buried for a long time. I'm getting comments on a weekly basis now of guys listening to the stuff that we're talking about. So
the whole reason we do it, isn't it?
Congratulations, guys. You guys are influencing the world.
I like to think so.
It's a mission from God.
It's a mission from God. We're out of here.
Or delusionary, whichever one you like. Yes, we're legends in our own lunchtimes. Yes.
That's us.
Take care, everyone.
Right.
We'll see you next week. Bye. Take it away, boss.
Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Where is it? Watch
where
out.
is it? Where is it?
Oh,
Uh,
Oh,
guns.
yeah.